Greetings from Dystopia, episode 220. Tech Tuesday. Stoves! Exclamation point. Right now I'm out here walking Redgate. Had to get out. These last couple of days we've had really high winds, so I don't go out in the woods unless I have to. On really windy days, we had gusts up over 50 miles an hour on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, both days I think. Anyways, not enough for me to get out and risk getting hurt. I've already had 2 near misses in these preserves and high winds, so if you watch my videos you'll know I start hightailing it when the winds kick up just to get out. So yeah, we'll talk about stoves a little bit. I'll overlay the appropriate stoves in the different scenes where needed. I'm kind of on a northerly general track, so occasionally I'm going to be backlit pretty strongly by the winter sun. It's just about as low as it's going to go for the rest of the year. Okay, I am at my intersection. I love how the trails change every year, every season, I mean. You always have to stop and think, well, which is the right way to go? Okay, so I can turn right there. I can make that left and go that way for a 3-mile loop. This heads back down towards the parking lot. Or I can head this way to the next left for a 5.5-mile loop. Or I just came off of that trail to the left, or I can go that way for a 2-mile loop. I just got 3 times goal for the day. Wimp out. Make it a little harder, or grow a pair. Grow a pair. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to do this in one take if I can, just to see if I can do it. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna grow a pair. So, stoves. The end of this as its own video. Chris, I'll walk you through making a cat stove, which is the simplest form of alcohol stove. It can be a tuna can, a fancy feast, a low profile spreadable meat can, whatever you got handy. They're really straightforward, really simple to make. My favorite alcohol stoves. That is a good question. For durability, the Trangia. Solid brass, you're not going to tear that thing up unless you run it over. Lightweight and fun, fancy feast. That is just the, I don't know, that is the penultimate of DIY stoves. It's the pot stand, everything is there, you just need a windscreen. Fairly fuel efficient too, considering, you know, it's an open burn chamber until it's pressurized. Next after that, probably a penny stove, and then the cat stove. And there's tons of them in between there. I'm not saying any one of them is bad, it's just, these are my favorites. Isobutane stoves, that's a tough one because it's a very seasonal thing. Speaking of seasonal, I'm going to show you the change in this trail. I love the change of seasons in these woods, particularly with all the oaks and the poplars and everything else. It just, I don't know, summer. So you might be able to make out this old Forest Preserve trail marker here, this brown one. I never noticed that in the summer because it's so overgrown in here. But in the winter, it clears up, takes on a whole new form of, yeah, I guess you could say beauty for argument's sake. So yeah, isobutanes. If you watch my video long enough and you know enough about them, you'll probably see that I do prefer the Snow Peak, whether it's the Gigapower or the conventional one. I also have a small Covia Supa Light, I think they call that one, S-U-P-A Light. It's a 56 gram, I think, is the weight of that stove. It's a titanium stove, super light. And the Covia Spider, which is a separate fuel line. So the canister is kept away from the stove. The advantage to that is much larger pots. It's more stable. You can do a larger windscreen to support larger pots, to shelter larger pots. And you have the other advantage of, with the canister upright, you have gas, as in vapor, feeding the stove. With the canister upside down, you're pumping liquid. Sandhill Cranes. Another fairly large group. Yeah, this is a massive group. It's off to the northwest. So right now you're looking north. Can't quite see them yet through the trees. But yeah, so the Supa Light, or the Covia Spider. I got distracted by the Sandhill Cranes. I just love that sound. Probably 15 years ago, it could have been closer to 20. I'd gone out to Wyoming to go fishing. And there was this big marshland. And it was the most sandhill cranes I'd ever seen in a single spot. Thousands of them. And that's all you could hear was them calling out. They're just getting close enough where I should be able to start seeing them here in a minute. But yeah, so the Covia Spider is a relatively new stove for me. It's got 2 seasons on it, and it's worked really well. Prior to that, I had the MSR isobutane. External, same type of configuration with an external fuel line with a hose going to the tank. And the MSR probably lasted me 15 years. I could have easily fixed it, just needed a new fuel hose, which I'm sure MSR sells as a spare, but I gave it to a friend of mine and said, order the part, fix it, keep it for yourself. I'm trying to get where I have a clearing to keep these things, to get them in sight. All right, let me stop wasting battery. Hopefully those will show up on camera. Just amazing. It's probably around 100 Sandhill Cranes. Alright, so cyclists are by, another group of 3. It looked like a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. Hispanic women came by. It's always good to see people out hiking. I don't care, just get out and do it. I don't know how many times I've said it. I think hiking, just walking in general, is probably one of the best things you can do for yourself. Not just in the physical conditioning, but getting out and just enjoying the outside. I always wonder, there's these shiny, let me find one here. Here we go. Sometimes they wait long enough and they pop up. I'll bring this back and put it on the bench. I'm not quite sure what these are. They're shiny like glass, but they're black. This particular trail has quite a few of them. It's like you're walking on a bed of them almost. There's enough of it. And I know some geologist or rock hound is going, that's blah blah blah. Well, I don't know blah blah blah. So I'm going to bring a sample home. Take a look at it. I'm sure it's probably something I've heard of and probably something from school, but I don't remember it. So there you go. There's another reason to get out and walk. Re-educate yourself. Oh man, it's just so beautiful out today. 5 times gold today. Not very high because the goal's set to 2,000, so I just crossed 10,000 steps. But like I said, I needed to get out and I needed to walk today. So there's a very large group of Sandhill Cranes. I don't know that the camera can pick them up because they're just little speckles. But I can hear them, and at the same time I'm also picking out another, I can't tell if it's a goose or a crane, but there's another call buried in there with them. And it makes me think Canadian geese. But it's not quite right. I did see a group of mute swans a little while ago, 5 of them. Trying to give you guys a little bit of trail view up here on this hill to our left. I don't know if you'd be able to make out both of them, but the white capstone is one of the buried reactors, and there's a brown stone right in here that's the edge of the burial field. There comes a very large group of cranes. God, I hope the camera picks this up. The Velcro from the power cord keeps sticking to my glove. It's farther west, way through that tree line. Like if you go where you can see the white stone, the monument, it's through there, directly above it, on the other side. But that is a huge group of them. That's pretty cool. Alright, I've got to get back to walking here. I don't have much time left in the woods because I still have errands to run today. I did see one Decay's brown snake a little while ago just sitting there in the sun on the edge of the trail. A little late for him, I think, to get buried, to get back underground, but I don't know. Kind of funny, I just found a couple out here on the trail and they were completely lost. And yet, if you listen, you can hear the road right back over here. And they got lost on the trail. So instead of listening to the sounds to orient themselves, they slightly panicked. And I kind of get it, that the tread itself in most spots is covered with leaves. So it might be hard to, orient yourself to the trail, especially when you're heading back that way. But if you look through the woods right here, you can make out the gray of the road, the pavement. So how in the world did you get lost that? See, there's a vehicle. How did you get lost that early? I mean, the parking lot is literally 500 feet this way, and I'm parked about 700 feet down this way. But, this goes back to my earlier episode about your 10 essentials and making sure that you're familiar with where you're going to go hiking. 7 times gold a day. I'm a little bit of a nut when it comes to my walking. But this is probably the best medication there is. You want the magic diet pill? Pay attention to what you eat. Get off your ass and walk. That's the magic that I do. Everybody always asks, what's your secret? Kind of watch what I eat. Not as good lately, I'll be honest. I've gained back more than a few pounds. 12 pounds, but from my lowest. But Amtrak. But yeah, that's it. Pay attention to what you eat. Eat right. Get plenty of sleep. And walk. That's all you need to do. Alright guys, that's it for today. I will see you back on the bench so we can talk about making a cat stove. And yeah, that's about it. So after the cat stove, you'll see me again standing right here saying so long. Okay, very quickly here. Cat stove. Very simple. You need either a Fancy Feast or a lower profile potted meat can. You can use a bigger can. It's just this tends to be the better size. You need a hole punch, a roll of tape, sandpaper, or a reamer, a scribe, or a pen or pencil marker, whatever you want to use. These are pull top lids. So very quickly you need to sand this down or whatever to remove sharp edges. I'm going to do it over the garbage because those edges are stupid sharp. It could also help if you just take a pen or something solid and just run the edge of the can at a downward angle into the can, and that'll help smooth it down. The roll of tape or something 3/4 of an inch high. Now I'll use my scribe for the purposes. Ooh, it's magnetic, so it's stuck. And that's all you're going to do is you're now going to... Actually, I probably should have used the pen for this because I don't think the scribe line will show up on camera. Oh yeah, you can actually see it. The next thing you're going to do is with the can upright, mark at 10 or at 12 and 6. Rotate the can 90 degrees, 12 and 6. Rotate the can 45 degrees, 12 and 6. Rotate it again 45 or 90, however you want to do it, 12 and 6. You come up with 8 holes, 8 locations. Take your scribe or your marker, transfer those marks, and I'm picking the marks up on my finger, to the side of the can. This is not rocket science, all right? It doesn't need to be perfect. The more perfect you get your holes located, the better the heat distribution. But, grand scheme of things, it's irrelevant. We're trying to make a quick and dirty and cheap stove. All right, so now I've got all my locations marked. A good old-fashioned metal hole punch. Just goes over the can. Would help if it was a little lighter in here this morning. And you're going to run around. You're going to punch your holes. Again, I'm having difficulty seeing my scribe, so in that case, maybe a marker would work better. Okay, I have a hole over here. I'm stuck. I have another one. I'm going to visually split them. I cannot see my other mark. Okay, there's one. And I have one right there. And that's it. That is your cat stove. Dead simple. Just as a word of advice, caution, whatever, that's about your alcohol fill line. So halfway between the bottom of the can and the top. You don't want to go much higher than that, just for efficiency. I've noticed if you come up to here, to the holes with fuel, what happens is it takes longer to turn to vapor. So it takes longer to boil the alcohol. It's the vapor you want to burn for efficiency. But yeah, that's it. That is a cat stove in its most simple of form. All right, folks, that's it for today. Be good, be well, wear a mask, stay smart, be strong, stay mighty. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a good one. Alright, so I know a lot of you have seen me do this on the trail for lunch and stuff. I'll stop and make a lunch and a coffee and everything else. But for those that want to winter hike, one of the biggest things you can do for yourself to make it that much better when you get back to your vehicle, especially because you're going to be cold, have a thermos or a thermos cup full of coffee or hot chocolate, whatever warm beverage is your choice. Make sure you have it in the vehicle, because when you come back in and you're cold, it's the perfect pick-me-up.